Welcome back. It is another Monday, the first Monday in February, and we are back with episode 5 of what I watched this week. It was a week full of movies, a little bit of TV shows. Only ones I'm going to be talking about today are Last of Us and Legend of Vox Machina. And got to see two new movies and rewatch another one in theater that's going to be playing big up at the Oscars over the next month or so. So let's just get into it. What I saw this week. The first thing we'll get into here in a few seconds is The Last of Us episode 4. Was it able to hold up after The Last of Us episode 3 hit? Great episode. Knock at the Cabin, M. Night Shyamalan's new thriller horror M. Night Shyamalan type movie. 80 for Brady. I made a deal with some family that I'd go see it, and I gave it a chance, and we'll talk about it here later. I got, after 80 for Brady, I was like, it's only 9 o'clock. I don't have anything else going on Saturday, so I got to sneak in Everything Everywhere All at Once movie now that it's back in the theaters. And we'll end up with The Legend of Vox Machina. The next 3 episodes came out this week, and I took a chance to look at them as well. So, starting out, episode 4 of The Last of Us. I just got done watching this about 4 or 5 hours ago, and still sitting on it. I think the Kathleen character looks interesting. I think the biggest thing that hampers this episode is the runtime. I think with episode 1 and episode 3 having the big long hour, almost hour and a half runtime, having a 45-minute runtime feels a little bit cheap overall. The production value is still really good. Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey are still playing Joel and Ellie super well. I love their interaction with the pun book this time. I think you're developing a little bit more of their chemistry, but I would have liked to have seen a little bit more prolongedness with what's going on in Kansas City. I know it's Pittsburgh in the game. I was excited for Pittsburgh, but Kansas City, I guess, makes sense. They had this film in Calgary. But Kathleen as a character coming in, this definitely feels like a 2-episode arc type show. Where they're coming into the city, there's things going on. They have to find their way out, and things are probably going to happen with this Kathleen person, with the 2 people at the end of the episode that we come across. But overall, I think this was a decent. Like I said, I would have lengthened this out. I probably would have had the beginning of this episode really go in on Kathleen's character, where she was during and throughout the Last of Us, and maybe we'll get that next episode. But I think that would have been a much better way to introduce her and get us to understand who she is in the show, rather than what they did this episode. I also would have prolonged Joel and Ellie's kind of weaving and bobbing and weaving through the city, avoiding Kathleen's kind of rebel army per se looking for them. I think the interaction they had when they got jumped was really good. I love the fact that Ellie had to save Joel, and Joel took the gun away from her, then realized, no, she's been through some stuff. She isn't the normal girl that we had, with like he had with Sarah, that we saw at the beginning of the show. Ellie is going to be somebody who's grown up in the apocalypse. She's had to deal with some stuff. I'm sure we'll get a chance to see that later on in the season, so he ends up giving the gun back for her. I think this was a decent episode. I think this all leads up to how the second half of this 2-parter wraps up next week. I know it's going to be coming out Friday because they don't want to compete with the Super Bowl. Makes perfect sense there. But overall, a solid episode of Last of Us. It was never going to be. It's going to be very hard to live up to what they did last week with Bill and Frank and showing us the good in the world. We're now getting a better idea of maybe some human threat per se. We'll learn. I'd love for us to get a little bit more in detail on both sides and what happened here, and see Joel and Ellie just try to move around to avoid it and get out of the city. But that's kind of my view on The Last of Us. Tell me your thoughts down below. Subscribe. I keep doing weekly reviews of that. They don't nearly get as many views and eyes as I get from my movie reviews and stuff, which is normal. It's interesting because I'm not the only creator that has that issue. So I know this is getting decent views on TV, but it just doesn't seem to be translating for people on YouTube and reviews and stuff. So that's The Last of Us there, episode 4. The next thing we'll go over is Knock at the Cabin, M. Night Shyamalan's new kind of movie. And this was basically starred by Jonathan Groff. Dave Bautista's the big lead. And Rupert Grint, for people who love Harry Potter, he snuck in there as a side character. I was wondering, like, is this Rupert Grint? Every time I saw a trailer, I was like, are they going to tell me if it's him or not? So I'm happy to see that it was. I think he did a little decent part in the movie. The star of this movie is Dave Bautista. You basically have these four people, like we see in the poster here, visit two husbands and a daughter who are spending kind of a vacation away, a weekend away in a cabin, and they're basically have had visions, and there's more you get into the movie of the world, is going to fall apart if this family doesn't choose one person to sacrifice. And there's little parts in the movie that allows you to doubt whether these people are just, like nuts, if they're attacking these people for a certain reason. It leaves doubt. You're like, okay, there could be an M. Night Shyamalan twist here. Again, you'll have to go and see the movie if you really, really want to figure out if there's a twist or not with this. I enjoyed it a lot. I think Dave Bautista throughout gives his best acting performance that we've seen. I know The Rock is the person everybody says from wrestling, and John Cena's coming in with Peacemaker, and both of them are seeming successful. But I think Dave Bautista, whether it's with Dune, whether it's Blade Runner 2049, we all love him as Drax. Now Knock at the Cabin, he was in Glass Onion. I think he's starting to make a bigger name for himself, and while The Rock has that kind of actions power, Dave Bautista is really holding his chops in dramatic senses, and I thought he was really, really good in this movie. I know it didn't open too big, and I might have a short out today going over to the box office. It did open number one, but he was definitely the best part about the movie. I think Jonathan Groff and I forget who the other actors named, the two husbands, also did a very good job in the movie. Kind of again, really, really selling you on whether or not what's happening is happening, or is there a twist, or are these people crazy? Is this, are they targeting these two homosexual fathers? Very, very interesting. I enjoyed it a lot. I would recommend people go and see it. Um, I think it's one of M. Night's better works in more recent years. I think you can tell it was made during the pandemic because, like most pandemic movies, like The Menu, um, there's a few other ones per se. Woman Talking. You're having this movie really take place in one setting, one cabin, one room like The Menu, one room like Woman Talking. A very limited cast. You can tell. Even Glass Onion was similar, trying to limit their exposure of talent and stuff like that. And I think it worked out to the best of its ability here. It's not a home run. It's not going to be the best thing you see. Hopefully not in February, but it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. I think it's M. Night always takes his shots, and whether you like him or not, he goes all in on what he's making. So that was Knock at the Cabin. I enjoyed it a lot. Again, Dave Bautista was great. Rupert Grint for the part he was in was great. Um, Jonathan Groff, we all know him from Hamilton as the King, was wonderful. I enjoyed this movie a decent amount. Now, a movie I didn't enjoy that much, and I think it's because as a Steelers fan, as someone in the NFL who doesn't like Tom Brady that much, I think the Patriots, for all I think there's some shady stuff that has happened with them over the years. I would end bias with 80 for Brady, and while there were some decent laughs, I think Sally Field's character, being an MIT graduate, like an MIT teacher, had a lot of great things. I think Jane Fonda's character had some decent amount of stuff. I think all of the women kind of shine in different areas, but overall, this movie, while based on a true story, felt very unrealistic and untrue. I didn't hate it overall. The crowd was pretty big. It got a lot of decent laughs. It really went for really cheap humor throughout, and some bits of that really hit. Some bits of that doesn't hit for me. There's a bit that happens during the Super Bowl. This is the one with the Atlanta Falcons with Lily Tomlin's character and stuff, and I just it made me cringe. It made me hate it. I know it's supposed to be a big heartwarming moment, but I just couldn't get into it that much. There's a lot of, I feel like Brady, since he's a producer of this movie, he's kind of like milking himself out a bit. Overall, I didn't fully enjoy this that much, but I can recognize that. I think if you're somebody who isn't too attached to NFL teams and don't have a distaste for the Patriots, you probably will like this movie. And if you're an Atlanta Falcon fan, just avoid this movie altogether. This brings up bad memories for you guys with the Super Bowl, um, with the Patriots Super Bowl being up 28-3. But again, it just has decent laughs at different points. A lot of cheap laughs that you either are gonna be like, haha, or you're gonna be rolling your eyes, like, oh my goodness, can we live in reality for a few minutes and just have four women enjoy being around the Super Bowl? We don't need to go above and beyond for every little thing. But it still was, like I said, I think it's a crowd pleaser. I think it's going to be if you aren't a anti-Patriots football fan like maybe I am, I think you're going to enjoy 80 for Brady a decent bit. I would want to recommend you try putting it on streaming if you don't want to go out in theaters. I know they're doing cheaper theater prices for this, but if you want to wait when it's on Paramount Plus, go ahead and do that. I think there's nothing wrong with that. It's a good background type movie. Um, but hey, that's 80 for Brady. If I'm wrong, if you went and saw this movie and enjoyed it, if you dislike me for being a Patriots hater, put it in the comments down below. I'm happy to take that heat. But that's just my opinion of that movie. Now, and I did joke because my mom made me go and watch this, and I even went and you can check my review out. I even went in like a Steelers jersey just to be kind of stuck up in an a-hole. And the movie opens up with the Steelers, versus Patriots game, and it just makes me like, I hate the Patriots. Really, really, really hate the Patriots. And the movie, like I said, I got out. I was like, man, that was cringy. That was whatever. It's 9 o'clock, 9:30. Oh, Everything Everywhere All at Once is showing in the movie. I don't know. I'm sure I had chances to see it again over the next month or so, but like this is right here. This is I'm not doing anything else Saturday night. It's 9:30. Let's go ahead and go see Everything Everywhere All at Once again in theaters. I think this is my second time watching it in theaters, and it was just as good, if not better. I noticed so many other new things. I've watched it a couple times at home too. But I noticed so much in this movie each time. There's so many much details going in from the script, from the Daniels, little details on who each person is, little moments and things they use at the beginning that play out throughout. This movie is up for Best Picture. It had the most nominations for the Oscars with 11. Michelle Yeoh is up for Best Actress. Stephanie Hsu and Jamie Lee Curtis are up for Best Supporting Actress. And Ki Hu Kwan is up for Best Supporting Actor. The Daniels are up for Best Directors, and a whole bunch of other stuff is here. This movie is just very, very good. I think it handles a lot of emotional story beats and storytellings. The relationship between Michelle Yeoh's character, her husband, and her daughter, and even her father is so layered throughout, and it goes through so many different emotions, and she has to grow so much as an individual person throughout that it's just a beautifully done movie. You have all the action and jokes in there to be a great action and comedy. The costume work is tremendous. The editing is bar none. The acting is just phenomenal all the way through. This is by far the front runner for me as far as movies that I think should win the Academy Award that are nominated. This is to me after watching this. I was like, no, this is it. This is the cinematic stamp on the year. Everything Everywhere All at Once came out last April, and it still is leaving a strong impact and thought with people 6 to 7, 8, 10 months later. It's a beautiful, great movie. I know I put a review on here. It's done very well for my channel, but Everything Everywhere All at Once is just a great time. It's in theaters again. If you haven't had a chance to go see it in theaters, please, if it's in your local theater, just go and see it. You will be entertained. You will be laughing. You will be crying. We may not be crying, but you'll be moved at some points. Just a well overall made movie, and the fact that it can come out 10 months later and still hold a big crowd for it. When I went to the theater that night, the theater was half packed, which for a 9:30 showing here in Boise doesn't even happen for new movies. So Everything Everywhere All at Once, a great rewatch. I was so happy that I did that last night. Or, yeah, it's technically Sunday night that I'm recording this, uploading it on Monday, but amazing movie. Can't recommend it enough. Now, let's get into Legends of Vox Machina because this show. Luckily, this week we didn't end on a character who looks like they're going to be dead that doesn't die. I was really upset this week when Pike just magically was able kind of to heal herself. Obviously, Grog had some, lost his muscle, and he was, and that's going to be a storyline throughout the season. The fairy world wasn't the worst thing in the world. I think that there were some positives to that. With the Vox Machina crew, I definitely did not love what was this batch of episodes. I don't mind the character development that we're getting on people like Grog, Scanland, the Vex and Vax, but I really just again this is luckily didn't happen again, so this might turn around the rest of the season. But I didn't like that we have been baited by people who should be dead in episode at the end of episode 3 and the end of episode 6 and turn up are not dead. And then we had Percy and Vex kind of developing a relationship that feels very shoehorned and thrown in. And it's just not very well done in my opinion. Keyleth is kind of the star of the and Pike are the two stars of this season. I think Vax is up there too. We'll see where Grog goes overall. I think he's done pretty well, but as long as we don't get any more bad fake death, fake outs, I'll be happy with the rest of the season. I still think it's kind of dragging along. It feels very D&D quest like you're now having to get this thing, now you have to get that thing. What are we doing here? What are we doing there? But I know we have 2 more weeks of this left, I think, before it ends, because this was 6, 7, 8, 9. Actually, we have 1 week of this left. I think 12 is going to be the end of it. So we'll see how it wraps up here. I don't know if they're going to end with with this season being all about these dragons per se. It feels like there's a lot of story left for 12 episodes. If it's 15, they might be able to do it, but 12, that might be rushing it a bit. But we'll see what it's like next Thursday. It'll come out Thursday night, Friday morning, a day before The Last of Us comes out. And the Super Bowl's next weekend. We're going to get a bunch of trailers. If you want me to do a video ranking trailers we have, let me know in the comments below. But that's kind of what I watched this week. Physical 100, I didn't like it as much. I saw it last Tuesday. I think it's dragging on a bit. I'll see what it's like this Tuesday, if it picks up or not. But we'll see what else comes out this week. Magic Mike comes out this week. I've seen that trailer in the movie theaters way too much. It's like I can just picture it in my head. And Selma Hayek and Magic Mike just doing dancing and like, what do you show me what you do? We're going to London. Why? So I want to put on a show. I feel like seriously, it's like every time I can hear the trailer come, I'm just like, I hate this movie. Maybe I'll watch it next week, but I hate it. I'm going to go in hating it because that stupid trailer over and over for every movie, no matter the type, whether it's a kid's movie, whether it's an adult movie, whether it's an IMAX movie, just Magic Mike trailer. I'm just like, oh. And I was going to go BBC Titanic 3D, Titanic next week, but all they're showing here is 3D. And I wanted to see Titanic in a non-3D way because I would love to see it in theaters. Because I saw Jaws last year in theaters, and that was a great experience. But seeing this in 3D, I'm just like, I don't want to see Titanic next week in 3D. But that's what I watched this week. Sorry about that last little rant. Like and subscribe if you like this type of content. I've been putting out a lot of good, decent shorts. It seems like people are liking it. I'm getting views. Hoping that can translate over to these type of videos. Tell me what you watched this week. Rank what you watched this week down below. But until next week, I will see you, and I hope you have a wonderful week. And as far as the Super Bowl, go Eagles. That's my pick. Go Eagles. Bye.